your experience, how complicated was it for you to help companies that you worked with to transform that internal proprietary process into something that is taking open source into account? And do you think you reached a point anywhere where you could say that open source is a first-class citizen in the product development workflow and it's just fully integrated and works like a charm?
I don't think we're there yet. Reaching the developer is easier. And so I think we've done a good job of reaching the developer, but we are still trying to reach the manager of the developer, the product manager, the general manager of a service or a product that relies on open source. And we will have to create specific messaging to each of those groups in terms of why they should care, or speak in their language. I think one of the best pieces of advice I got was, you can't come in and speak open source. You've got to come in and speak the company's language, business language. That's Amazon or SanDisk or Comcast. And so talking to the product manager about what she or he are trying to accomplish and how open source can play a role in that is important, and not just pure open source without context of what that person is trying to do. So I would say it's still a work in progress for the business side of the house. I think we've done a decent job on the developer side of the house.
I've also been wondering, I mean, I work for an open source foundation, so I view the world from a very different point of view. And I've been chewing on the thought, like how to help that management layer who doesn't have the hands-on experience participating in a community. You're very well equipped to at least start those conversations, but what's up with companies where you have people who don't have the open source experience, or maybe those who do, they are the developers who don't speak the business language? Are there resources out there that could help, especially the management layer who just, I think they're a little bit locked out, like how we talked about, even the communities, the non-code developer roles are just a little blurry. Like you can't just point the manager there and like say that, yeah, go there, get involved, get the experience, and then come back 2 months later and then we will talk. And if there are no resources out there, do you have anything in mind that we could create?
There are a couple of things I would say. One is if there is an OSPO in that company, to direct them to go talk to the OSPO and see how the OSPO can intervene and help talk to the managers about the value of what they're doing or how to support them. It's a huge part of our job is to advocate for the open source developer, work with HR, work with managers, work with executives to make sure that this is a conducive environment. The second I would say is, I think when companies join user groups or attend an open source conference or become a part of a community like the to-do group, for example, or if they're in the user group for CNCF or for open infra, you meet other leaders from other companies and you kind of start normalizing that this is the way it is. And you go back a lot more educated, a lot more supportive of your teams. I remember bringing my VP from Comcast to the leadership summit for open source, the LF leadership summit. I think it was in Half Moon Bay or something like that. And he went back with a completely different view of what I did and how valuable it was that I came to these types of events and the networking I did or the people I knew. Then when he said, "Oh, she's going away to another boondoggle, in some fancy place, and I don't know what she does." So I think bring them with you to these events, let them hear you speak, let them see how you interact with communities is one, and then the OSPO I think is another one.